Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We start tonight with breaking news: an active situation at Fox River Mall in Appleton. Jason Zimmerman and Emily Matesic are standing by. Jason, you were there first. Let's head to you. What do you know at this time, Jason?
Brittany, we are still actively working right now to gather details here at the scene. What we have been able to confirm is that there was a shooting at the Fox River Mall. We don't know exactly how many people were shot, but witnesses tell me it did happen somewhere in the vicinity of the food court area. You can see the scene right behind me here, a number of police cars, too many for me to actively count at the moment, but I have seen just about every agency out here from the Fox Valley. A short time ago, about 20 minutes ago, we did see a large number of people come from the food court area. I'd say about 50 people that were walked out of the food court area and over to Bob's Furniture, where they were reunited with loved ones and told that they could leave from that point. But you'll see a lot of cars out here in the parking lot at the moment of likely people that are still inside the mall, possibly barricaded or taking cover. We do know this is an active scene, and the entire mall area right now is surrounded by police. They're not letting anybody in or out at this time. They're telling people to kind of stay away. And I did speak to a number of people who were in the food court as this situation unfolded this afternoon. I asked them what they heard, what they saw, and we're going to play a little bit of that right now. So were you scared? Were people panicking? What was the scene like?
Definitely like panic, but you also like had that moment where it's like, do I move? Like, what do I do? Like, you have that like really quick instant thing where it's like, stay or run. Even though you know you're supposed to run, but it's just like your mind doesn't acknowledge what the first answer should be right on that time.
Freeze up.
Yeah,
you freeze up. You know you should do something, but you can't.
I'd been working the phones all afternoon into this evening. Was able to share a couple of text messages with some local law enforcement, and the initial reports that they were getting that there were 2 people that were shot. We were hearing 1 critical, 1 not critical. Again, haven't gotten that confirmed yet from anybody else, but law enforcement earlier in the day, that's what they were telling me. We're expecting a briefing at some point. We were told that the staging area for the media was at the Ross Dress for Less, which is across Casa Loma from the mall area. We're in that area now. Hopefully we'll be hearing from some sort of law enforcement sources in the near future to get exactly more detail on what happened out here. Kevin, police tell us it was a citizen's tip that led them to this location here on 20th Avenue. I'm going to step out of the way, and you can see that that blue car that is connected to Desmond Ellis is parked here in the driveway at a duplex on 20th Avenue. Now, I know we do have some video we can roll. Within the last half hour, when we were here, 4 people were pulled out of the house in handcuffs. It appears that it was 3 women and a younger male. I can tell you that 2 of the women were screaming as they were being pulled out of the house. Now, none of the people were the suspect or the man that they were looking for to talk with about that shooting. The 19-year-old still out there. Police continue to look for him. We did talk with Oshkosh police briefly about the 4 people that they pulled out of this house.
First alert update now. The suspect wanted in the Fox River Mall shooting is arrested. Grand Chute police say U.S. Marshals caught Desmond Ellis around 3:30 yesterday afternoon at a home in Des Moines, Iowa. That's 400 miles from Grand Chute, and the arrest was made without incident.
And police don't know why Desmond Ellis was even in Des Moines. Ellis, though, was wanted for first-degree intentional homicide and recklessly endangering safety for Sunday's shooting that killed 19-year-old Giovanni Frosto.
Ultimately, it provides closure. It provides closure for the family, obviously, of the decedent, Mr. Frostos. Provides closure to all of the individuals that were inside the mall that day, locked down for an extended amount of time while officers had to tirelessly clear the mall, and provides closure for the other victim that was shot as well.
Action 2 News just confirming a suspect is in custody tonight after an active shooter situation at the casino where multiple police agencies responded. We have team coverage tonight from the scene, but first, here's what we know so far. Witnesses telling us there were multiple gunshots inside the casino. Authorities quickly blocked off the highway in both directions. Several people inside the casino as well, running or barricading themselves inside for safety. We are also standing by to take a live media briefing by law enforcement. It's expected to start any moment now. We will bring you that live in its entirety once it begins. It doesn't look like it's beginning right now. So first, let's head over live to Emily Matesic. She got to the scene within minutes of the call. Emily, what did you see as you were pulling up, and who did you talk to?
Yeah, Brittany, obviously a very chaotic scene here this evening. Law enforcement had the area around the casino completely blocked off. And as you reported, the shooter is in custody. Now, we did talk with several people as they were evacuating the area. These people were both in the casino and in the hotel portion of the property. Witnesses tell us the shooting started in the restaurant of the Radisson Hotel. The Radisson is attached to the casino. I spoke with a man who was eating dinner in the restaurant when he heard one shot before taking cover and then evacuating. Once outside, witnesses tell me they heard another shot. Police were converging on the area at that point when one woman told me she saw law enforcement running into the parking ramp area of the casino. Not only did those law enforcement officers have their guns drawn, but this woman told me that she saw and she heard them firing their weapons. Take a listen to what several witnesses told us they saw and heard tonight.
In the Radisson at the Ducks Creek. Our team's out here. We're supposed to be playing the Green Bay Blizzard tomorrow afternoon. So we're just having our team dinner, and food was about to come by, and then we just heard a shot, and then I heard another one, and then I just seen one of the chefs, his body just dropped to the floor, and then we all just dropped to the ground and just tried to get to rescue as quickly as possible.
This exclusive video sent to us by a person who wishes to remain anonymous captures the shooting between a suspect and law enforcement at the Oneida Casino complex.
There's always one shooter.
He was killed by police. Brown County deputies say a man with ties to the casino from an employment status killed 2 people inside Duck Creek restaurant located inside of the Radisson. His intended target reportedly wasn't there, so he shot that person's friends and co-workers. A third person with gunshot wounds was flown to a Milwaukee area hospital. There were several people that were leaving the hotel that told me on Saturday night they spent hours in the parking lot just waiting for the scene to clear.
So Brittany, let's start with you about what we learned from investigators today.
Sure, Chris, and I want to start with the Green Bay Police Department. They were the ones that were involved in the officer-involved shooting and killing the suspect. There are 3 officers that are on paid administrative leave, and that is normal for protocol when this situation happens. Now, going back to the gunman, his name is Bruce Poffel. Like you said, he is an ex-employee. He used to be the food and beverage manager for the restaurant inside the Radisson. And on Saturday night, they said that he walked in directly to the kitchen. He went back to like a waitress area in the back of the kitchen. That's when he pulled out a 9mm handgun and shot 2 of the employees at close range. After that, he walked out of the complex, and that's where he shot a 3rd employee outside. And then he was, of course, shot and killed by Green Bay police. The sheriff did not have a motive to give us today. They are still working on that, but we do know that he was fired. We don't know why he was fired, but we also do know that he was prohibited from going back to the restaurant or back on that property. And if he did, employees of the restaurant were told to contact police, but that's as far as police went with us today.
All right, so let's bring in Sarah Thompson. What have we learned about the suspect today, Sarah? Because there's been a lot of investigation into him.
Exactly, and that what Brittany was just mentioning about not having the motive, not knowing exactly who he was targeting there, that's still the big question. So what we did today, we went searching through court records and online public searches trying to find information out about this. I did find out that it looks like Poffel has lived and worked mostly in the hospitality industry all over the country, doing jobs similar to what he appeared to be doing here at the Duck Creek restaurant, and has moved around the country a lot, and had very little law enforcement contact except for a speeding ticket, except for in the last few months. And I found that there were some municipal citations that he received for harassment. There also was a restraining order listed or filed against him, I should say, in March, and that was by someone who lists Poffel as a former supervisor, so someone that he would have worked with at Duck Creek, and saying that there was concern of stalking. And so that restraining order giving us an idea, but we still don't know if that's what the motive was or what connection that was, but we did find that information out this afternoon.
All right, so Brittany, how does that information kind of dovetail with what you heard from investigators today? Because there were a lot of people there that night. There could have been this could have been much worse than it was, and it was plenty bad enough already.
For the first time, we're seeing police body cam video of the moment Oneida Casino Complex shooter Bruce Pofel was confronted by officers near the parking ramp as he was attempting to leave.
Tell them they're going north!
You can hear officers giving commands before firing.
Put it down! Put it down!
Afterwards, officers continued to give commands, not knowing Pofel's condition as he laid on the ground.
Give him commands! Bruce! Get your hands out like an airplane! Do it now! Empty your hands!
According to a 129-page report released by the Brown County Sheriff's Department, Pofel had been harassing and stalking a woman who he hired to work at the Duck Creek Kitchen and Bar. One of the men Pofel shot, Ian Simpson, was a chef of the restaurant and had been dating the harassment victim. The woman told investigators, "I know he was upset about losing his job, and I know he had animosity towards Ian. In talking with my co-workers, I believe Ian was Bruce's target. I believe that Jacob may have just been too close to Ian."
Oh no! It was spinning and stuff was flying.
First alert update, the storm damage across our area.
Utility crews have been working to restore power to thousands of people. Some trees are down, and there were reports of several tornadoes as the storms moved through early last night.
At least one home near Nichols was damaged by a tornado, but no one reported getting hurt. Good morning, everybody. I'm Catherine Bracho.
I'm Tammy Elliott.
And I'm Aisha Morales. It is a first alert weather day, believe it or not, even after all of that. So
again,
we're not done with it quite yet, Steve.
No, Mother Nature's not done with her temper tantrum. There's going to be another round of damaging thunderstorms across the area this afternoon. Hail, high winds, heavy rainfall, isolated tornadoes, all on the menu. First alert weather day. Otherwise, hot and humid, high of 87, but notice how the temperatures drop as the rain comes down across northeast Wisconsin. Right now, things are quiet on First Alert, Viper Max, but this afternoon is going to be a different story.
And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Following severe weather across northeast Wisconsin all afternoon, a viewer sending us this video of a funnel cloud near Pulaski.
Tornado warnings started popping up earlier this afternoon, and the severe weather threat continues at this hour. Let's get right to severe weather specialist Brad Spakowitz in the First Alert Weather Center with all the details. Brad.
Alrighty, just to get you up to speed, much of the area is still with a tornado watch until 8 p.m., though admittedly it probably won't run that long because already things are starting to quiet down a bit, thankfully, but we still have a severe thunderstorm warning here until 4:30, includes much of Kewaunee County, far southern Door County, and about the northeastern corner of Brown County. We can take a closer look at that right now with First Alert Viper Max, and again, you can see the warning flashing there. Still some torrential downpours, especially across eastern Brown County, just to the northeast of Green Bay. We've been looking for hail, and we can look once again, and you still have hail there coming on the shore, the east shore of the Bay of Green Bay there. That hail around 1 inch in diameter. And here's some good news. We've seen a lot of wind with these storms. Right now, the wind does not appear to be as strong as it was, but unfortunately, some of the strongest winds right now are right there between, well, essentially right on top of New Franken there, but you probably have some winds up somewhere between 40 and maybe close to 60 miles per hour. This storm is moving due east, so clearly the rest of you there into Kewaunee County are right in line.
We started digging and found lawsuits or court cases under different business names. The connection among all of it, one name, John Solberg. For well over a decade, we have reported on multiple businesses run by John Solberg, resulting in legal trouble for him and countless customers alleging they were cheated out of money.
But I yet have not been paid for my vehicle.
It started with Vicenzi's,
I can understand the concern.
a bar he owned in Green Bay in the late 2000s, eventually closed after several fights and city law violations.
So the arrest was made of Mr. Solberg last night at the court.
Solberg soon turned to car sales, operating Backwoods Bargains and Standard Pre-Owned in Swamico and Kaukauna.
Things were booming.
Hundreds of complaints led to a local, state, and then federal investigation into the consignment dealerships, alleging Solberg would sell cars for people but keep the money and forge titles on vehicles.
I didn't put the truck on that lot thinking that I was going to get defrauded in any way.
Investigators arrested him in 2019, the U.S. attorney charging him with wire, mail, and bank fraud in federal court. Solberg pled not guilty, and a judge set him free on bond under conditions he not violate federal, state, or local laws and not secure any loan or financing without court permission or have any contact with customers or employees of the car dealerships or Summit Contracting. That's another company we've reported on extensively the last 2 years that is still under federal investigation for an alleged scheme to defraud financial institutions and customers by taking money from customers without their knowledge and not completing the work. We can find no stipulation preventing Solberg from operating a new business. That court order was dated December 2nd, 2019. 18 days later, a new business called New Heights Roofing incorporated and registered with the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. The agency doesn't list a business owner by name, which is common, but after repeated phone calls over the last 9 months from viewers asking us to look into the business, we did. The New Heights Roofing Incorporated website lists no physical address for the business. No owner or team member names are given, but a local phone number is listed. We called it, and John Solberg answered the phone. He tells us he's just an employee of New Heights Roofing Incorporated, but says it's run by a board of directors and shareholders. Online searches for New Heights Roofing in Wisconsin, the only state in which Solberg says the company operates, direct us to an address in Swamico. Tax and court records show that is John Solberg's home address. We asked him why an employee's address would show up. Solberg tells us that's an issue with websites he's trying to resolve. That same address is listed for another company, First Contracting. We couldn't find a website for that business or many other details on First Contracting, but Solberg tells us he does own that one and started it before he left his job at Summit Contracting. We found this case filed last year in New York against First Contracting and John Solberg, a judge ordering payment of more than $23,000 to Kodiak Funding. Its lawyers argued Solberg didn't hold up his end of a financing agreement dating back to 2019. Solberg says that has since been paid. Then just last month, a Sheboygan County couple filed this lawsuit against New Heights Roofing, alleging a breach of contract after they say they hired the company to replace their roof, gutters, and vents last summer, and the work was still not done. Court records contain pictures alleging damage, water leakage, and widespread defects requiring the roofing system be replaced. Homeowners confirmed to Action 2 News they have been trying to resolve this with Solberg for months.
We've been following viewer stories of hostage moves since last year. It is a consumer first alert. Tammy Elliott digging deeper to help others avoid a moving nightmare.
One case after another, people share their moving nightmare. Pastor Bob Benson left with broken furniture and a big bill, feeling duped by the name Great Movers.
Talk about misnomers. Nothing great about it. It was a nightmare.
Karen Sees is still waiting for her late mother's family heirlooms. It's been 8 months.
Whether it's a black market, I don't know.
After watching our reports, Nikki Reeves and Nina called Action 2 News saying her story was even worse.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Movers in California packed up everything she owns.
Every time I'd call, I'd get a different answer. They told me my things were in transit, that they were in an 18-wheeler, that they were in a container on a train, but they couldn't tell me where the train was. They told me it was on its way to Georgia and then would be transferred to Chicago and then would come down to Wisconsin. It was just one bad story after another.
4 months, and she's still waiting.
They could have the furniture, I didn't care. But please, I mean, the things that didn't mean anything to anybody except me. Things my children made for me while they were in school, pictures, memories. I like to write, so all of my journals were in those boxes.
Nikki, Bob, and Karen all found their movers in a place investigators say is packed with fraud.
I did what everybody does. You know, you do a Google search.
I got the name, I think, online.
Online and over the phone with All Pro Moving Group.
This is a very serious issue. Crooked movers have just saturated the internet.
We connected with Better Business Bureau investigation specialist Steve Baker in Chicago. In a 2020 report, Know Your Mover, Baker reveals the financial and emotional toll of moving fraud.
Anybody that hires a mover just on a quick internet search for company and a conversation is a serious risk of not only losing money, but also their belongings. You're getting a complete stranger to drive away with basically everything you own. And this is extraordinarily common. The Better Business Bureau hears tons of times from people that have been ripped off by movers.
Last year, victims filed 13,000 complaints on moving companies. One victim paid nearly 4 times the quote, waited a month for delivery from All Pro Moving Group, the same company Nikki Reeves hired.
They told me, don't call anymore. They said, don't call anymore. You know, you'll get your things when you get them. I mean, they were unbelievably rude. Finally, I told them I was invited to do an interview on TV. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but that's when they said, your things will be delivered by the end of the week.
When the truck finally showed up, she says they demanded more money, $1,500 to unload.
Many things were missing. So much was broken.
Those are typical hallmarks. You never know when this stuff is going to show up or if it's going to show up. When it does, they want still more money before they'll unload it. Things get broken, mixed up all the time. It is so bad that the legitimate moving companies have actually formed an organization called Move Rescue, which is free. And they try to help sort these situations out.
Interstate moving is complicated, and Baker says the people behind the fraud know how to work the system.
These guys are very, very good, and they're very tricky. Sometimes they use the Better Business Bureau seal on their websites. They've got fake reviews from supposedly happy people, and you really need to be careful because the chances of getting ripped off are extremely high.
Read reviews on the moving company at the BBB website. Look up a license at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Check a trusted trade group like the American Movers and Storage Association. Get 3 estimates based on weight, not volume. And remember, legitimate movers won't ask for a lot of money down. They collect final payment after your things are delivered and unloaded.
I can still smell it, just the fire.
For the last year, 16-year-old Michaela Green had been working with lawyers to gain the rights to the house her grandmother grew up in.
I wanted to save this house, I wanted to fix it up, and I wanted to like have a family here, like my grandma did.
All so that she could take care of her.
This was her way out of a drug-infested house. She was gonna move in here once I got it fixed up.
But her dreams were set ablaze early Monday morning by an unknown arsonist.
Today we were supposed to go and sign the final papers for me to own this house. And then I got the call. First thing I thought was, who did this?
For weeks she's been working on the house, and so it's just really disheartening to know that, you know, if someone had done this.
While the house has technically been empty for a few years, Green says it's always been a place that has been full of memories.
It's not an abandoned house. It means something to somebody, and a lot of somebodies.
After days of waiting,
I got a call from the detective. He said, "Are you sitting?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sitting. I'm like at home with my dog." And he goes, "We found the guy."
16-year-old Michaela Green got all the answers she was looking for.
The guy broke into my garage. He was cold and homeless, and he started a blanket on fire to stay warm. He woke up and he was actually on fire, so he took his clothes off and threw it out the window. And that's what really started the big fire.
And the opportunity to grant forgiveness.
The first thing he said was, "I'm so sorry." And you could just hear like the tears and the cracking in his voice. I told him, I said, "You know, I forgive you, and this is your chance to turn your life around."
But she says it doesn't compare to the donations and support she has received since the fire, helping her rebuild.
I never knew how amazing this community was until I went through something like this.
And following the September 11th terrorist attack, sports leagues around the country came to a halt. When the National Football League resumed play 2 weeks after 9/11, the first Monday night game was held here in Green Bay. Tonight, Jeff Alexander looks back on perhaps the most emotional night in the history of Lambeau Field with the 2 people who took center stage.
USA! USA! It was an event that everyone took part in. The energy of the stadium, even remembering now, 20 years later, it's still a special moment.
In 2001, Packers strength coach Chris Gizzi was a linebacker for the Green and Gold and a member of the U.S. Air Force Reserve. On the morning of September 11th, he remembers feeling torn between team and country.
One of the first people I was on the phone with was my reporting officer back in Colorado Springs, and he was very clear: continue the mission, continue what you've been assigned to do your job. And I think that gave me a lot of resolve to keep going forth as my role with the Packers, but also as a public relations officer. So making sure we tell the story and make sure that people believe in what we do, defending the country.
A few days before the Packers retook the field in front of the nation on a Monday night against Washington.
And welcome to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Gizzy was notified of an unexpected honor.
Well, it's Coach Sherman's idea. He presented it to me at the end of the week. I didn't know exactly what he wanted, but the way it worked out, I think the fans are as responsible for that as anything too.
Signs of patriotism are overt and in abundance.
Gizzy led his teammates onto the field, carrying an American flag.
It was about as electric as I've ever seen the stadium. I got carried across that field. It was a group effort. It was awesome to be part of something bigger than yourself.
Just moments after the Packers' dramatic entrance, we talked with country music star Martina McBride, invited to Green Bay by the NFL.
It's such an honor to be able to be asked to sing the anthem anytime, but especially since the events of a couple of weeks ago.
McBride says she still remembers that night vividly, one of the most powerful moments of her life.
We were all still so raw and so in shock as a nation, and to be asked to be there was such an honor for me. And as I started singing, the whole crowd was chanting USA, USA, and then they all started singing along.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Honestly, after 9/11, I've sung the national anthem all my life. We all have, right? From kindergarten on. But after 9/11 was the first time, and maybe even at Lambeau Field was the first time that I really understood the weight of those lyrics, and they just took on a whole new meaning.
Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
It was a powerful moment, man. I go back and watch the video every once in a while.
To try and explain the energy that night that was in that stadium, it just felt different than, maybe you can describe it better than I can.
I just got chills when you said that. Yeah, it was electric. And the thing is, like, everybody was feeling it at the same time.
Those at Lambeau Field that night will tell you the patriotic pregame ceremony even trumped the Packers' victory, a night McBride calls the highlight of her career.
It's the top moment, just because it was so special, and it also endeared me to Green Bay for forever and ever.
Jeff Alexander, Action 2 News, remember 9/11.
And keeping you informed during the COVID-19 pandemic with Dr. Ashok Rai, Purveyor President and CEO. And it was a huge moment yesterday. You guys, Purveyor opened the largest vaccination site so far in the state of Wisconsin. We'd love to have a bunch more of these at UW Green Bay campus, but you had a big day. You had the governor here. You had Tommy Thompson, UW System President here for this big event. It was quite an unveiling.
Yeah, it's an honor to have the governors there, I guess, as they call themselves, but to have them there, and they asked a lot of good questions. And this is just step one. We have to do this at scale. We have to continue to get bigger.
Big news, obviously, with the Pfizer vaccine and the approval for the next age group of kids, 12 to 15. What's happening today? And parents want to know, when will I be able to get my child in that age group vaccinated?
It's definitely exciting for us to be able to vaccinate more of our citizens, especially our adolescents that, they've been hit very hard by COVID, as everybody has, but virtual schooling, always getting quarantined when a classmate is exposed. Those are things that, I think everybody is tired of, especially that age population. So to have a safe and effective vaccine for them is great.
You are very concerned about this wave and this winter.
Yeah, we call it waves of COVID-19 now. We see the spikes on the graph and all that. Omicron's not a wave. Omicron is a tsunami.
Last year, when the coronavirus was just emerging, we asked viewers to leave messages about how they were doing. We heard their fear, their frustration, but also their hope.
Now, more than a year later, our Brittany Schmidt reconnected with some of those people to see how they are doing now.
Hey, Brittany, this is Pam Miller calling. I guess what I missed the most is seeing my dad. I have my dad in an assisted living facility, so I talk to him on a daily basis and FaceTime with him and try to do as much as I can to keep him safe and keep his spirits up. The last time that we as family were able to see my dad was July 19th, 2020. I did lose my dad to COVID on August 7th of 2020. I think the worst was not being able to be with him when he passed. Getting that last hug, that last kiss, that last I love you. It wasn't there for us. 2 weeks after my father passed, we were blessed with our first grandchild. So that's what I've said to people is, we truly are living the circle of life.
The CP Telethon here at WBAY TV2 is fast approaching.
Yeah, this year there's going to be a lot of changes to keep everyone safe during this pandemic.
Kristen Allen is live in the WBAY auditorium to explain what's new.
Good morning. Yeah, that CP Telethon will be here before you know it, and we're up here in the auditorium where you can see that everything is mostly set up. These tables, of course, here behind me are where the phone banks will go, and on Telethon days, it is usually bustling with people up here. That won't be the same this year. Things will look a little different. The show will go on to raise those critical dollars for CP, but it will look a little bit different, and that's because the majority of different things like entertainment and such will be pre-recorded. So entertainment, those bands that perform, those will all be recorded ahead of time. Also, the interviews with the families and the clients, as well as some check presentations, will be recorded as well.
Just like many other events this year, our CP Telethon looks a little bit different. But Frank, tell me about some of the adjustments we made this year.
Well, as you can see, I mean, everybody's 6 foot apart here. I mean, where the VIPs are sitting, we've got extra tables down here. And it's going to be a little bit more flowing, a little bit better when we do the totes. We'll be, of course, socially distanced. Also, live entertainment. We're the only ones here tonight. Let me be frank. Well, there's a couple dogs here, too, but we'll be here tonight, 3-dog night. And also, the entertainment will be virtual. Most of the entertainment, you're going to see some great live music tonight on the telethon. And we're hoping we can beat last year's total. So give us a call during the telethon.
I don't know if we're going to set a record this year, but I tell you what, we're going to set a record just for the compassion that people feel out there. And I think the giving and community joining in, that's my record.
We did it again! We did it again!
The grand total raised during the 2-day event came to $1,421,757.
Thank you from all these folks here and everybody else behind the scene.
Welcome to Sunday Sports Night. Well, it certainly was a whooping at Whistling Straits as the Americans reclaimed the Ryder Cup. From record watch to watch out.
Ownership, right? Rodgers now 61 career touchdowns against Chicago. COVID keeping Davante Adams out. It's an uphill climb for Green Bay, right? Right? It's a trap. This is a team that the Packers have not beaten in Cincinnati since 1998.
Strange things happen when the Packers beat the Bengals, but even I was unprepared for this. 5 missed potential game-winning kicks in the final 2 minutes.
A sweet sweep has the Bucs moving on. The Packers are now cap compliant. By doing so, did they kick the can down the road, or did they kick a full keg down the road, and did they break their foot in the process? The Packers are going to be $20 million in the red.
2 rivals have met 6 times in just the last 4 seasons. Well, that escalated quickly, Jeff. Forget the NFL draft entirely. Today is all about Aaron Rodgers drama.
Aaron Rodgers, where do we stand with this situation? Rob, let's start with you. Is there mending still to be done here?
Oh, absolutely there is, Chris, because
nothing has been done. Nothing's been done since last year at this time when they drafted Jordan Love. Nothing's been done since he was marching his way to the MVP last season.
Time now for our 3 brilliant minutes. We've talked a lot on this show in the past about hiring issues, but Brad has a whole new twist on this.
The bees are looking for help.
The bees?
Yeah, you know, we've talked many times about pollinators. In fact, just last week we had a story about pollinator protection legislation going into effect, because not just do flowers need pollinators, but our crops need them. And of course, we've seen the collapse of bee populations, so it's a little alarming. So that brings us to our friend,
the bee.
Wrong. That's not a bee.
That's not a bee.
It's a bee imposter. It's
Oh.
a bee look-alike.
Okay.
Cleverly disguised as a bee, because when you look like a bee, but you're actually a fly, but when you look like a bee, predators leave you alone.
Okay.
Clever disguise. This is actually the syrphid fly. Very common. Found throughout the world except Antarctica. 6,000 different species of them. But they look like bees. And it was a bee researcher at Washington State University that said, every time I'm out looking at bees, I'm seeing this imposter, which made him start thinking, is it possible that bee impersonating flies are actually
pollinators?
Doing what bees do? So here's what he did. How much plastic is your washing machine sending out to the sea? And as it turns out, more than we ever envisioned. And part of the problem is, worldwide, 60% of all the clothing, synthetic fibers. We've talked about invasive species before, plants and critters. This time we're going to talk about another invasive species. It's a plant, and it's not only poisonous, it's deadly. It's lethal, and the problem, Chris, is there's no antidote. So if you would consume it, or if your dog would consume it, or your cat, your cow, your horse, whatever, that's it. Okay, and the thing about
that's a heck of a way to start this thing out.
I know, and the problem is that this plant has now spread throughout just about the entire United States, and it is here in Wisconsin. I want to help you learn how to spot it.
The lighthearted and comical fundraiser is back for a second year in a row. The poorly drawn pet fundraiser with the Wisconsin Humane Society. Brittany Schmidt joins us in studio to fill us in on all those details. Brittany?
Last year, in just 48 hours, this fundraiser helped the Wisconsin Humane Society Green Bay campus raise $12,000. So pretty successful for something so simple. Here's how it works. On its Facebook page, Green Bay Campus Wisconsin Humane Society, you'll find this post near the top. So you start with a $25 donation. There's a button right on the Facebook post. You can click it and follow the instructions to enter in your card number. Then in the comments below, you post a photo of your pet. As a thank you for the generous donation, someone will draw your pet for you to the best of their ability. Once the volunteer is done, they'll post their portrait of your pet in the comment you made so you can see it. The money helps the society care for animals in the community. Now you can donate more than $25 if you'd like, but the minimum of $25 gets you your very own poorly drawn pet portrait. Some may get lucky and have their pet photo picked up by an actual artist, but for this lucky cat that you see here behind us, you get me. Someone with very limited artistic ability. So Jeff, Sarah, I'm gonna spend the rest of the show, 20 minutes attempting to draw this cat, Minerva. Jessica, thank you for your donation. And then I'll reveal this masterpiece to you both at the end of the show. And I am nervous, like I'm sweating because I'm such a terrible drawer. So
Brittany, I can promise it would be better than anything I would draw.
Absolutely better than us. And I'm nervous for you too, but we're excited to see this. This is going to be good. So you got to stay through the whole show and start drawing.
It's time now for Brittany's poorly drawn pet portrait. This was the photo she was given, Minerva the cat.
Chris is walking right into it.
He wanted to see Minerva.
Well, Brittany has go over by Brittany. Brittany's been working away at the desk over there.
At least you didn't draw Chris.
Let's see the finished product. All right, time for the big reveal, Brittany. Yes, we're ready. Wow, look at that. That is so good.
Let me get closer and then Chris can walk back.
Okay, that is so good.
You said you weren't any good.
You know, I'm not. I needed more shading.
Humble.
I needed more colors. Okay, you can see the cat below it.
There you go.
Not very. I couldn't do weather. Okay. I've got the little pad nuggets. They call them beans. They call them little cat beans because they're like little cute little paws.
I didn't know that.
The hair, right? I didn't have much shading. I tried to do a little bit here because you kind of see it there on the photo. There, right there. Yep.
You did
But it's
very
not-
well. No, you did very well.
You're a
You know,
ringer.
it was tough because it was upside down, so I kept turning my phone trying to figure out like where it was. on the
That
page.
is worth the donations right there.
Yeah, Jeff, how much did you pay for this?
I'd say $25.